All right, you guys, it's yours truly, and I'm here for a little bit. I just want to say I know I haven't been making a few TikToks lately. I've been busy with school. I'm in a compressed section of my master's program right now where it's only 8 weeks to get my summer semester done. So I've had my head down. But I want to say thank you to everybody that's been leaving me comments or, saying things to me in public when you see me. These conversations that we have together like this on TikTok do bleed into the real world, and some of the people that I know and I when I've seen you guys have brought these things up and talked about specific points I made, and I'm thankful. Right? So, there's 45 seconds on saying thank you. What I want to talk to you about right now is something that's probably going to change the course of your life. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately. So I'd really like for you to hear this out. I don't know how fast or how far it's going to go, and I'll try not to ramble. But I want to talk to you about my professors that I have met along the way, whether it's been in community college, 4 year state school, or master's program. The perception that a lot of people have that I gather from these conversations is that these universities and these schools are full of ultra far left liberal, blue haired, stereotypical, like Greta Thunberg types, screaming, uh, just kind of caustic and toxic people that are teaching woke ideology. And I hear this all the time. People are not afraid to bring this up and try to make a conversation out of it. And I appreciate it. And I'm a good listener. I'm good at hearing you out. I'm good at wanting to hear where you're coming from, right? I know a lot of you have heard it. I know a lot of you talk about it. I know a lot of you probably spit it out of the side of your mouth when you're around certain friend groups, and maybe you don't want to talk about school, or you want to talk about what's wrong in this society. I get it. I get it. The first story I want to tell you about is a professor who she was teaching the history of ancient civilization. And a lot of folks like this, ultra right leaning people, do find themselves in the humanities, which might shock you, because, the Alex Jones and the Joe Rogans and the Bill O'Reillys and the Laura Loomers and the, all of the really outspoken far right people talk about the problem of the humanities in the universities. And most of the far right, Trump supporting, hard right, conservative people that I've met as professors have all been in the humanities. So I had this one lady, and we were teaching, or I was in this class for Ancient Civilizations, Part 1. Then I took her again because I'm a glutton for punishment. Somebody's laughing. I took her again for Ancient Civilizations 2. Ancient Civilizations, I think, was like 7,500 BC to roughly 250, somewhere in there. It was like the peak of the Roman Empire, right? So it was like 750, just past the antediluvian, just past the Diluvian period, which is like, that's a biblical term for some of you, there was the flood, and a lot of biblical scholars say that was around 9,000 to 11,000, somewhere in there. Yes, I know it's past 6,000 years. I know, trust me. Math, right? So it went from like the Diluvian period all the way through to 250. Probably 100 times in this class, this lady giving these lectures to agrarian times, to ancient times, kept linking and making examples of the material and referencing Hillary Clinton and her email server and Pizzagate that she believed in. And all of these things, all these weird kind of, and I get it. Republicans believe they're real. These conspiracy theories that, were all kind of proven like head scratchingly strange. And she kept bringing them up in this class. And then in her syllabus, she often talked about in the syllabus how It's, you're allowed to say what you want, but always be respectful and this and that. And then the problem is that when people spoke up about it, she didn't like it. And there was a lot of rough things said. I was an observer to this. And as a student, I saw the whole thing go south during Ancient Civilization 1. And then some students got together and they filed some complaints. A lawyer later got involved. I got called into a deposition for probably the third time at this place. And it was nasty. It was just nasty. The lady didn't lose her job or anything. She continued to teach. She still teaches there. But, it was like the complaint was about some of the other things that were said that were of personal nature where people got heated. The next person that I took, she was another far right-leaning person, and she often talked about, the goodness of Donald Trump and, how well-meaning he is and, how he's fair for everybody. And, this was during the first administration, and it didn't really go over well. But, shockingly, I found myself in that class. Recently, I was in another class. Similar things happened. In my bachelor's, I was in a couple classes where they were all men, where one fellow who was an ultra far right Trump supporter, conservative, and talked a lot about Alex Jones. He was a guy, and I think I've talked to you before about him. He was a guy that I was familiar with because one of my best friends in the 90s happened to be from Ethiopia. And he was related to Haile Selassie's family. You don't have to know who Haile Selassie is, but he was the king of Ethiopia. And he got deposed by, and I'm blanking on the professor's name, but he got deposed, Haile Selassie got deposed by this group of people that didn't like the entire race of Ethiopians that were in control at the time. And it was like two races, right? It was like one branch of the Ethiopians against the other branch. And so the other branch came in and deposed Haile Selassie and all his people. And my friend Lusaged, it's hard to say his name, but my friend Lusaged, his dad worked for Haile Selassie and was part of his family. And they got chased out and he came to America. I met him when I was at UCLA. He was a wonderful human being. This guy, his older brother was the guy that deposed Haile Selassie. And he was teaching at the Cal State system. So yeah, imagine that. So the thought is, and to wrap this up, imagine your thought is that you want your kid to go off to college and, be exposed to all this, powerful and positive liberal thinking. And, they're going to get this, earth first agenda or hyper empathetic, people first kind of stuff where everybody's like taking care of each other and kumbaya. And, maybe you're thinking that's what you want for your kid. And then you get to these higher institutions of education only to find out that probably 3 out of 5 of your kids' teachers are going to be far right leaning. And this is in California, my friends. So there's 9 minutes of something that I wanted to share with you. And it's my professors. Okay? Those are the right leaning ones. I'm going to talk about my left leaning ones here in a second.